Good morning, Year 4. This is my hints and tips video for our maths lesson today, count in fractions. Okay, so today we're going to count in fractions. I'm going to start having a practice with fifths. Okay, so I think you should find this quite straightforward. Okay, so we're going to do first of all just counting in the fraction. So we would go 1/5, 2 fifths, 3 fifths, 4 fifths, 5 fifths. Okay, but we also know that if we were doing this in mixed numbers, when we got to 5 fifths, in fact, if I put it up there, that would be the same as 1 whole. Okay, so it starts when we're doing mixed numbers, the fractions just start the same. Okay, until you get to the whole one, where instead of writing 5 fifths, you write 1 whole. Okay. So I'm now adding 2 more fifths to my bar model. Okay, and our fraction is just going to keep going up. 6 fifths, 7 fifths, and our mixed number is going to go 1 and 1/5, 1 and 2 fifths. Okay, so I've had to begin from where we were. So we were at 7 fifths and 1 and 2 fifths. So we're going to go 8 fifths, 9 fifths, 10 fifths, 11 fifths, 12 fifths in our improper fraction. And lots of you remember from yesterday how you can divide the numerator by the denominator to see how many halves, how many wholes there are. Okay, so we're now going to continue our mixed numbers. 1 whole and 3 fifths, 1 whole and 4 fifths, and this is the tricky one because you need to make sure that you remember when you add another fifth to 4 fifths, what you're actually doing is making another whole one. Okay, so here it will be 2. Okay, if you end up writing 1 and 5 fifths, okay, 5 fifths there is the same as 1. So you must write it as 2 whole ones. And then you would carry on 2 and 1/5, 2 and 2 fifths, until you got to the next time, which would be, let's write it down here, 2 and 4 fifths, and then when I add another fifth, that would give me 5 fifths, which would make another whole one, so the next one would be 3. Okay. Okay, so if we move on to the sheet, alright, and counting fractions, complete the number lines. So for this one, along the top, you've got 2 fifths, 3 fifths, a missing fraction, okay, 1 and 1/5. And then here, they want you to draw a little bar model. Alright, so each bar must be the same size and each bar must have 5 equal parts because you're counting in fifths. Okay, similar thing down here, but you've got to work backwards. So each time you're working out what you're counting in, work out what step has happened between each fraction. So to go from 2 wholes to 1 3/4, I've subtracted 1/4. I'm going to check it's the same. 1 3/4 subtract 1/4 is going to be, so I write it up here, 1 1/4 is going to be 1 2/4. Okay, so therefore if I subtract another quarter, and I continue doing that in each step, okay, you can see what you will be left with on each increment. Okay, draw the bar models. Right, so carrying on. Okay, straightforwards one, going up in thirds. This one is our first one where our step is not just going to go up in 1/3, 1/4, in this case 1/7, because the difference between 3/7 and 5/7, so it would have to go 3, 4, 5, is actually going up 2/7. So my next step would go up 2/7, so I'm adding 2 more sevenths. Okay, so 5/7, add another 2/7, 5, 6, 7 sevenths, and that's our really important one. Okay, because that gives me 1 whole, and then each time here our numerator is going up by 2, and here the same until we get to the next whole one. And for this one, where I've got 27/5 at the beginning here, not much to go on until I get here, okay, but I can use that to work out the step from 2/5 to 7/5, okay. So actually what's happened, if I'm going this way, okay, I would have added 5/5. That's like the whole one, isn't it? Okay, so see, add, so here each time my numerator is going to go up by 5/5. Okay, so you can work out, and then I'm going to leave you to work out that part. Remember, you can divide the numerator by the denominator if you need to, okay, like we did yesterday. Alright, to work out the mixed numbers along the bottom. So I'm going to be kind to you and just remind you how to do it. So 27/5 is the same as 27 divided by 5. Alright, write your splat box if you need to, but I know that there are 5 groups of 5 in 27, because 5 times 5 is 25, and there would be a remainder of 2/5, which I will write as a fraction. Here for number 3, we've got write the next 3 fractions in each sequence. So the first A and B are quite simple. Where we've got C, it's the same thing. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So we've added 2/4. So in each increment we must be going up by 2/4. And this one shows us that it's in mixed numbers, so we would need to keep going in mixed numbers. Here we're starting at 4 whole ones and we're making a step down to 3 whole ones and a third. So what we've done is we've subtracted 2/3, okay? And then we'll do the same again. So subtract 2/3, alright, and we get to 2 2/3, and then we would subtract 2/3 in each increment along, okay? Okay, number 4. What is the missing fraction? Give 2 possible answers. And I think this is a horrible question, but it's easy once you understand. Okay, so our numerator is going up, and here our denominator is in thirds, so it's going to remain in thirds. And if I'm looking at my numerator, I can see 8, 12, 16, 20, 28, 32, okay, and I can see that this is actually kind of like my 4 times table, 8, 12, 16, 20, so my missing part here, alright, so when you've worked that out, okay, you can write it here, so hopefully you will know that it's 24/3, and then our other way of writing 24/3 is to do 24 divided by 3, okay, alright, because that will give you another possible way of writing 24/3 here. Okay, so when we're doing here, we're doing in fifths, still going up, alright, so we would have 24 fifths, 24 fifths, and here we would have 24 divided by 5, which would give us another possible way of writing 24 fifths. Okay, and last question is number 5. Amir, Dexter and Dora counting in fractions, 8/10, 9/10, 10/10, 11/10. Amir says the next fraction is 12/10. Dexter says the next fraction is 1 2/10. And Dora says the next fraction is 1 1/5. Okay, who is correct? Explain your answer. And the clue that I'm going to give you here is that remember that 2/10 is the same as 1/5. Okay, alright, and that's a big clue. Alright, so work hard, have fun. I look forward to seeing some of your work later on.